My phone buzzed at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. The name on the screen made my chest tighten. Rebecca Walsh, the photographer I'd hired for my son's wedding 6 weeks ago. "Mr. Castellano?" Her voice was shaking. I need you to come to my studio tomorrow morning. Alone. Please don't mention this to anyone, especially not to David or Ashley." I gripped the phone harder. "Rebecca, what's going on? Is something wrong with the photos?" "I can't explain over the phone." There was a long pause. "When I was editing the reception footage from the videographer, I found something in the background of one of the clips. Something you need to see. Please, Mr. Castellano. 9 a.m. tomorrow?" I barely slept that night. The wedding had been perfect. At least, that's what everyone said. 300 guests at the Coral Gables Country Club. Ashley in her custom Vera Wang gown. David, my youngest son, looking happier than I'd ever seen him. I'd written a check for $127,000 to give them the day Ashley had been planning since she was a little girl. My late wife, Maria, would have wanted that. She'd always said our kids deserved the best. After Maria passed 4 years ago from ovarian cancer, I threw myself into making sure our boys never wanted for anything. David was 29, working as a brand strategist for what I later learned was basically a failed startup. My older son Tony was 32, bouncing between business ventures that never seemed to pan out. I owned 3 dry cleaning locations across Miami, built from nothing over 30 years. The business was solid. The boys would inherit something real. Or so I thought. Rebecca's studio was in Wynwood, tucked between art galleries and coffee shops. She met me at the door, dark circles under her eyes. "Thank you for coming." She locked the door behind us. "Mr. Castellano, I've been doing wedding photography for 15 years. I almost deleted this, but you have a right to know." She pulled up a video file on her computer. "This is from the cocktail hour. The videographer was doing wide shots of the terrace. Watch the corner by the fountain." The footage showed guests mingling, champagne glasses catching the golden Florida sunset. Then I saw them. Ashley and a man I didn't recognize, partially hidden behind a marble column. They were close, too close. His hand was on her waist. She leaned in and kissed him. Not a friendly peck, a real kiss. My blood went cold. "Keep watching," Rebecca said quietly. The man pulled back, and I could hear their voices faintly through the videographer's microphone. Ashley was laughing. "Just 6 more months, maybe a year. Once we have the house deed transferred and I'm on the business accounts, we're golden. David's too stupid to notice anything." The man's voice was clearer now. "What about the old man?" "Please, he's 63 and still grieving Mom." "He'll sign anything I put in front of him. We already got him to agree to the post-nup modifications. He thinks it protects David, but really..." She laughed again. "By this time next year, we'll have controlling interest in the dry cleaning chain, the Coral Gables house, everything. Then you and I can finally stop pretending." Rebecca stopped the video. I couldn't breathe. "There's more," she said. "The man in the video? I did some research. His name is Marcus Delgado. He's Ashley's ex from college. And Mr. Castellano," she pulled up a photo on her phone. "This is from Ashley's Instagram from 2 months ago. That's Marcus in the background at what's supposed to be her girls' weekend in Key West." I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. My son. Does David know? I don't think so. I debated whether to tell you at all, but she met my eyes. My dad got taken advantage of by family. I watched him lose everything because he trusted the wrong people.
I couldn't let that happen to you without at least trying to warn you.
I drove home in a daze. The house in Pinecrest felt enormous and empty. 7 bedrooms just for me now. David and Ashley had moved into the guest house out back 3 months ago, temporarily while they looked for their own place. They were still there. I sat in my study until midnight, Maria's photo on my desk. "What do I do?" I whispered to her image. Our son married a con artist. The next morning, I called my attorney, Victor Chen. We'd known each other for 20 years. I showed him the video. "Jesus Christ, Frank." Victor watched it twice. "This is bad, really bad. What modifications did you make to David's prenup?" I pulled out the paperwork. As Victor read, his face darkened. "Frank, do you understand what you signed? This gives Ashley access to your business accounts if anything happens to David. It also gives her power of attorney over your medical decisions if you're incapacitated."
And this clause here, he pointed, this makes her a 50% beneficiary of your estate, superseding Tony.
The room spun. She said it was to protect David, that if anything happened to me, she could help manage things for him.
Did David even read this?
I realized I didn't know. She brought it to me, said they'd gone over it together, that it was their lawyer's recommendation for blended families. Victor leaned back.
"Frank, I think you're being set up. And if I had to guess, I'd say it's bigger than just Ashley. Someone's coaching her. These aren't amateur mistakes."
Over the next week, I became someone I never thought I'd be. A spy in my own home. I hired a private investigator named Sarah Reeves. She was ex-FBI, sharp as a blade. I also had a security company install hidden cameras throughout the main house, disguised as smoke detectors and picture frames. Victor advised me to move slowly, gather evidence, and protect myself before confronting anyone.
"If they're planning something, you don't want to tip them off," he said. "And Frank, don't stay alone in that house with them, not until we know how deep this goes." I checked into the Biltmore Hotel, telling David and Ashley I was visiting Tony in Atlanta for a few weeks. Tony didn't even live in Atlanta anymore, he was in Seattle, but they wouldn't know that. We barely spoke. The cameras revealed everything. Day 3, Ashley was on the phone in my study, sitting at my desk. "Baby, he's gone for 2 weeks. That's plenty of time." She was talking to Marcus. "I need you to help me with the signature on the deed transfer. Can you forge it like you did with the business paperwork?" My own study. My own desk. Day 5, David came home early from work. I watched him pour himself 3 fingers of bourbon at 2 in the afternoon. Ashley walked in. "Is your dad still sending you money?" she asked. David nodded. $5,000 this month for expenses, same as always." "Good. We need it for the Miami Beach condo deposit. Marcus found a perfect unit."
My son looked confused. "Wait, I thought we were looking at places together." Ashley kissed his cheek. "We are, baby. Marcus is the realtor, remember? I told you about him." The lie was so smooth, I almost believed it myself. But the worst came on day 8. Tony showed up at the house. I watched through the camera as Ashley let him in. "Did you talk to him?" Tony asked. Ashley nodded. "He'll sign the business over to you both within the month. I've been working on him. The grief angle works perfectly." Tony, my firstborn, laughed. "And David still has no idea you're playing him?" "Your brother is useful. Once we have everything transferred, Marcus and I will handle the divorce. You and I split the business 60-40 like we agreed. David gets whatever's left." Tony and Ashley, together, planning this. I called Victor immediately. How fast can you freeze everything? Give me 48 hours.
That was 48 hours too long. That night, Sarah Reeves called me.
Frank, you need to see this.
She sent me a file. Bank statements showing Ashley had already stolen $67,000 from my business account using forged authorization paperwork. Another file showed Marcus Delgado had a record, fraud and identity theft in Georgia. And the final file, the one that made me sick, was a text chain between Tony, Ashley, and Marcus discussing how to accelerate the old man's decline with medication. They were planning to drug me, to make me appear incompetent so they could take control through the power of attorney clause. Victor worked through the night. By morning, every account was frozen, every property deed secured. I filed for an emergency restraining order against Ashley, backed by the video evidence and bank records. The police were notified about the fraud and the conspiracy. Then I went home. David was in the kitchen when I walked in, Ashley beside him making coffee. Tonya was at the table. They all looked up, surprised.
Dad? I thought you were in Atlanta until next week.
David smiled. I set my briefcase on the counter. Inside was a tablet loaded with every video, every recording, every piece of evidence. We need to have a family meeting, all of us, right now. Something in my voice made them freeze. Ashley recovered first.
Of course, let me just...
Sit down, Ashley. I pulled out the tablet and connected it to the kitchen TV. I'm going to show you something. I want you all to watch carefully. I played the wedding footage first. David's face went white as he watched his wife kiss Marcus Delgado. Then came the audio of Ashley's plan.
Dad, what is this?
David's voice cracked. Keep watching. Next came the recordings from my house. Ashley on the phone with Marcus. Tony and Ashley discussing the business split. The text messages about drugging me. The kitchen was silent, except for the voices on the screen. When it finished, David was crying. Tony's jaw was clenched. Ashley was pale. You were spying on us? Tony found his voice first. That's illegal. You can't use any of this. Actually, Victor stepped into the kitchen from where he'd been waiting in the hallway. In Florida, one-party consent laws allow recordings when there's reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. And Frank suspected plenty. Hello, Tony. Ashley. Ashley stood up.
This is insane. That video is edited. Marcus is just a friend and...
Sit down. My voice was steel. I have bank records showing you stole $67,000. I have forged documents with your signatures. I have recordings of you planning to incapacitate me with drugs. The police already have copies of everything. David looked at Ashley like he'd never seen her before.
You used me?
She reached for him.
Baby, no. This is all a misunderstanding.
Don't touch me. He jerked away.
You kissed that guy at our wedding? You were planning to divorce me after stealing from my dad?
Tony stood up. Dad, you're overreacting. Ashley and I were just talking. You can't seriously believe... I have 18 hours of recordings, Tony. 18 hours of you and your brother's wife planning to rob me blind. I looked at my firstborn, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, and felt nothing but disgust. You were going to drug me. Your own father. You don't understand. You cut us off. I gave you everything. My voice cracked. After your mother died, I gave you both everything. Money, support, jobs at the business you refused to actually work at. I paid for your lifestyle, your apartments, your cars. And this is how you repay me? By conspiring to destroy me?
Ashley made a move toward the door. Victor blocked her path. "You're not going anywhere," he said calmly. "The police are outside.
They'd like to ask you some questions about fraud, conspiracy to commit elder abuse, and identity theft." Right on cue, there was a knock at the door. 2 Miami-Dade police officers stood on my porch. Ashley was arrested within 10 minutes. Marcus Delgado was picked up an hour later at the condo they'd been renting together in South Beach. The police found more forged documents there, along with a laptop containing detailed plans to transfer my properties into offshore accounts. Tony wasn't arrested. Not yet. But the detective made it clear he was under investigation. He left my house without another word. David sat at the kitchen table, his head in his hands. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know." I believed him. My youngest son was many things: lazy, entitled, irresponsible. But he wasn't malicious. He'd been a pawn, just like me. "I know, son. What do I do now?" I sat down across from him. "You file for an annulment. You get a real job. You stop expecting me to fix everything for you." I paused. "And you move out of the guest house. Today." He nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I deserve that." "Yes, you do." The legal process took months. Ashley pleaded guilty to fraud and theft, receiving 3 years in prison, and in order to repay $67,000 plus damages. Marcus got 5 years for his previous record and new charges. Tony was never formally charged, but the investigation revealed he'd been skimming from my business accounts for 2 years. I didn't press charges. I just cut him off completely. Changed my will. Removed him from everything. He sent letters at first, apologizing, begging for another chance. I burned them all. David, surprisingly, stepped up. He got a job at a marketing firm, a real one, with a salary and benefits. He moved into a modest apartment in Kendall. We had dinner once a month, awkward and quiet, but it was something. I wanted to believe he'd learned. Time would tell. I sold the Pinecrest house. Too many memories, both good and poisoned. I bought a small waterfront condo in the Keys, just 2 bedrooms overlooking the Atlantic. I wake up to sunrises now, fish off my dock, and volunteer at the local community center teaching ESL classes. My business is still running, managed by people I actually trust now. I hired a proper accountant and a management team that doesn't share my DNA. Last month, I got a letter from Tony. Not begging this time, just reflective. He wrote that he understood why I'd cut him off, that he'd been seeing a therapist, that he didn't expect forgiveness, but wanted me to know he was trying to be better. I read it twice, then put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'll respond. Maybe not. This morning I had coffee on my balcony and watched pelicans dive for fish. My phone rang. David, calling to tell me he'd gotten a promotion. We talked for 20 minutes about normal things, work, the weather, a documentary he'd watched. It felt almost like before, but better, more honest. When Maria died, I thought my job was to protect our boys from pain, from struggle, from ever feeling the poverty I'd known as a kid. I gave them everything and asked for nothing in return. I thought that was love. I was wrong. Real love has boundaries. Real love says no when it needs to. Real love doesn't enable, it challenges. I spent years afraid that if I stopped giving, I'd lose my sons. In the end, I lost one anyway. And the other one I got back only when I finally stopped trying to buy his affection. I'm 63 years old, living alone in a small condo, estranged from my firstborn, and still rebuilding a relationship with my youngest. By some measures, I failed as a father. But I sleep through the night now. I don't wake up anxious, wondering what crisis needs my money to solve. I don't feel the weight of manipulation disguised as family loyalty.
I look at Maria's photo every morning, the one I keep on my nightstand. Sometimes I think she'd be disappointed in the choices I've made. Other times, I think she'd understand. She was always stronger than me, better at seeing people clearly. I'm learning, I tell her picture. A little late, but I'm learning. The pelican outside my window catches a fish. The sun glints off the water. My coffee is still hot. And for the first time in 4 years, I feel something close to peace. Not because my family is whole, not because everything worked out the way I planned, but because I finally chose myself. I finally said no. I finally drew a line and meant it. They say you can't buy love. I spent $127,000 on a wedding to learn that lesson. Some might say that's expensive tuition. Me? I think I got off cheap. Because what I lost was an illusion. What I gained was something real. Self-respect, boundaries, and the knowledge that I'm worth more than what I can provide. My sons will inherit a smaller estate now. Maybe that's the best gift I can give them. The chance to build something themselves, the way I did, the way Maria and I did together. And if they never understand why I walked away, why I chose peace over their version of family, that's okay. I understand. And that's enough.